In some international news, after French President Macron, German Chancellor Merkel's party, Christian Democrats have resolved a long-simmering dispute over refugee crisis over there, with their sister party, the CSU, paving the way for talks on forming a coalition government with the Greens and the Liberal FDP. The net refugee cap set at an annual limit of 200,000 migrants. The goal of the meeting was to settle a bitter squabbles so the estranged Conservative sister parties can again present a united front in the upcoming coalition talks with smaller parties. The pro-business Free Democrats and the left-leaning and ecologist Greens. In contrast to this, there is the Rohingya threat looming large, where India is concerned adjoining countries of Myanmar and Bangladesh, but the world borders are inching close. The question is, what should India be doing in a situation like this? Let's go across to Thomas Sparrow, joining us live from Germany at this given point of time. Thomas, good evening here from India. The first question to you goes out on the decision that has finally been made by Chancellor Merkel on capping the limit to 200,000 refugees. This also will pave the way for coalition and a better governance policy ahead.
Well, it's important to stress that this is not yet a decision by the federal government. It is an internal decision by the Conservative bloc, by her party, the CDU, and the sister party, the CSU. As you mentioned yourself, they had been at odds on this issue for a very long time, and they had to come to some common ground before actually starting negotiations with the minor coalition parties, the probable coalition parties, if you will. But this is not something that is now a decision in Germany. It doesn't necessarily mean that Germany will cap its numbers of refugees up to 200,000. It is only the terms that the Conservative bloc will want to use next week when they sit down for the first time with the Liberal FDP and with the Greens to try and find some common policy on that area. But it's important to stress, for example, that this will under no circumstance be an easy negotiation. The Green Party, for example, has already rejected this agreement, has already said that they will not fall under that circumstance. So this has to be understood first and foremost as an internal matter of Angela Merkel's Conservative bloc, and not necessarily as a decision that will affect refugees coming into Germany. We have to wait and see what type of coalition agreement is formed and how that coalition agreement would then affect the numbers of refugees coming into Germany.
Okay, but Thomas, wouldn't this also be a complete compromise to what Angela Merkel has been thinking of? She had initially rejected the upper limit of 200,000. She's been open to the refugees really coming into Germany if there was a deal finally, because to be able to cobble up numbers for a stronger coalition, this would be seen as a fundamental compromise where Chancellor is concerned.
Well, it is indeed a compromise towards the sister party, the CSU, but if you look at what Angela Merkel and her government have been doing in recent months, there's a clear change when you look, for example, at 2015, when Germany's doors were open, when so many refugees came. Starting in 2016 and also in the last few months, the focus has been on trying to limit, trying to organize the refugees that have come to Germany. So both parties, both the CDU and the CSU, are interested in limiting the number of refugees. But where the difference lies is that the CSU has been asking for a fixed upper cap on the number of refugees. They have said on various occasions that they wanted that cap to be 200,000. Angela Merkel, on the other hand, has said that she will not allow a cap to happen because that would be against international rules, international laws. And in fact, what they have agreed now is not a fixed cap. It's more of a standard, more of a goal that they want to reach, and a goal that, by the way, could change depending on the national or the international circumstances. So if there's, for example, another crisis, then that cap could be raised from the 200,000 that has been agreed on now. So it's not a fixed cap, as some have argued. It is more of a point of reference to what they would like to achieve as coalition partners in the upcoming negotiations.
Okay, you know, Thomas, it's interesting that the European world is also looking at these refugee crises there, but there is crisis back at home in India too. We are facing a different kind of crisis when it comes to countries like Myanmar and the Rohingya crisis, which has also been making headlines. But our concerns primarily here, the Indian government concerns, are national security concerns of Rohingyas having links with extremists, etc. Talk us through of what is it that these alliance partners, possible alliance partners, continue to raise in terms of their concerns with the refugees there from Syrian state?
There's on the one hand a concern on integration. That's something that will be a long-term project in Germany, not something that you can achieve in a couple of years, trying to integrate so many refugees. There's obviously the element of security that's played a very important role in recent months, in recent years here in Germany. As you know, in December last year there was a terror attack here in Berlin. So obviously security and integration are two concerns that affect Germans, that have also been affected by, have also affected political parties here in Germany. But the idea is to try and somehow organize the numbers of refugees or the numbers of asylum seekers that come to the country, because what happened in 2015 and 2016 was that to a large extent the influx, the arrivals of refugees was not very organized, and that's something that Germans above all want to change. So I would say that integration, one key area, security, obviously, a second area as well, that plays a very important role in these aspects that we're talking about now.
Right. Thomas there, reporting from Berlin with the DW. Thank you very much for joining us for a moment with those latest updates from Germany.